DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's DFK AMA. We are going to run through some updates, talking about some upcoming events, some API stuff, and some general updates on duels and combat-related things. And then we'll be diving into some questions, as always. Real quick note, we will have Dreamer joining us here shortly. But he was in a Twitter space with Metagoons and Avalanche Gaming that just wrapped up, so he should be hopping in here in a couple minutes. So that was perfect timing. It ended, we started. Love to see it. And yes, our time is slightly different for some of you because of daylight savings time. It happened here in the US. We were victimized by daylight savings, and so we just went through our time change. So same 2 p.m. Eastern, but it's now a different 2 p.m. Eastern. But let's get started and dive in. Let's go over to Pinecone first, just because we never get to hear Pinecone's voice, and it makes me sad. So Pinecone, what's going on with the API?
Lots of things going on with API. What I'm here to talk about is what we discussed a few weeks back regarding the more efficient delivery of data to the front end. So as you guys know, we have two APIs, one for the community, which is pretty static in the format and future-proof, more or less. And then we have the game API, which we kind of discourage people to use because we want to be able to make changes to it, breaking changes to it whenever we need to. And that's what's happening second half of next week. I'll turn off the keyed version of the hero query. So if any community tools still use that, they are in for a lot of hurt. So just beware, and if something happens, reach out to the community devs that you love.
Yeah, and just adding to that real quick, if you are a community dev, please make sure that you are in the community dev channel in our Discord, which you can get in the reaction roles. The community dev role gives you access to that channel. But also, if you are using any of those tools and you are in touch with the devs that run them, please make sure to also give them your feedback so that we can try to make sure they're all as aware as possible.
Also, just want to mention that there is a workaround on how to still have a way to make that work. It's in that channel, so you can go in there. There's actually a little snippet provided, I believe, by Pinecone to make that still work fine. You're just going to have to upgrade your apps a little bit.
Yeah. So you can in your app get the same format of the data. You just need to apply a solution that's in the dev discussion channel that DCR and myself have worked together on. And it will map it out so you get the same object. So it shouldn't be a big change for people. It's just that they need to do it, or you need to do it if you're the community dev. Else it won't work.
And of course, if you have any issues, please feel free to ping us in that channel. Pinecone's active there. Dr. Zipper's active there. So if you have any problems, let us know. We'll make sure we get you taken care of. Greatly appreciated. And let's hop over to Frisky Fox. Actually, Dreamer, can you hear us this time?
Test.
Yep, we can hear you.
Nice.
All right. Let's jump over to Frisky Fox for duels.
Yeah, so we discovered a way to potentially optimize our gas in the new way that we haven't tried before. So we're really excited about that. And I was like, you know what can we do for duels with this? So spending a little bit more time on trying to optimize some things there and seeing some great results. It's getting really close now, but I did want to get that put in before launching this because it is going to be a new or sort of an ongoing season where we're not going to deploy new contracts with each new season and instead going to use the same ones. So really just trying to get this in before that, because these types of efficiency changes just wouldn't work very well in the same contract going forward unless we do it upfront. So that's where we're at. Hoping to get it out soon. I won't say a date, but we're for sure getting closer. Still needs a fair amount of testing as well.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that, and a little bit has been teased about some of the upcoming changes, and excited to get those in front of people. Let's see, taking a look at some upcoming events. I believe we're going to have a few people in a couple different places. Sunbear, where are you headed next?
I am on my way to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco for next week. Next week, Wednesday and Thursday, we will be at the Avalanche booth. Avalanche, as you know, has really gone in big with gaming and continues to do so. And so very appropriate that they would go in big at that conference. And we want to support them and show off the biggest, coolest game on the Avalanche subnet system. So myself and KP will be there. Please come by and say hi. We're also going to be in the area of the territory of Halliday, and so some Halliday folks will also be around. Yeah, that's where we're going to be.
And Dreamer, I believe you'll be traveling again as well. Where are you headed to?
Yeah, I think I've traveled more days, like actual in-plane airport traveling, than I've been home in the last 30 days, or like 17 days, which is crazy. But I am going back to Mexico. Karate Combat's having another event. We are on the pit again, which is great. We're going to try to get an interview. We might see what's it called? A trailer as well be run, and maybe a few shout outs. So we'll continue to try to use that awesome partnership for live activation and amplifying DeFi Kingdoms, as well as networking there. A lot of interesting people show up there, and there are some leads that are progressing. So we do have to divide and conquer a little bit. I'm excited for Sunbear to hit GDC. I was there last year, and Avalanche apparently has some big announcements coming up. So it'll be cool to have boots on the ground there to interact with developers and gamers alike. And we'll get it done in 2 different places.
And speaking of events, this is actually the first AMA since this past weekend, where myself, Sunbear, and Dreamer were at TWC in Orlando. Dreamer got on the stage 3 different times in one day. I was actually up there once with him as well, along with Scott from WagMe Games, which was a lot of fun. That was a really fun panel. Dreamer was also up there with Matt from Metis, and then up with George. Let's see who all was up there. George, Phil, Dreamer, and Moon Daddy from IFC. So he was up there 3 times in one day. Those videos are all compiled, thank you, KP, and posted on our YouTube. So if you've not seen those from this past weekend, I highly recommend checking them out. But that was a really good event. It was a lot of fun. It was a little bit of a smaller crowd, but that let us really get to actually like meet and talk to a lot more people and, build those more personal connections. And it was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of good came out of it. Sunbear, Dreamer, anything y'all want to add on TWC?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing, well, the funnest part were the panels. A little bit of goofing around and some banter, getting more comfortable with people and being on stage, and just try to make it be more entertaining. Because sometimes panels are just not entertaining. But hopefully that was entertaining. But I think the highlight was reaching out to Metis after the deal was announced, and they weren't planned to go, but they asked if I could show up because Sunbear and Bolon live near there. Well, I guess Sunbear's a little bit closer than Bolon. They were planning to go into the booth, but they actually asked if I could fly out, and I asked if Metis could come, and Matt showed up, and we did a really good job presenting together. This Metis team in public and behind closed doors, they're really showing up, guys. They are so excited about the Coliseum. People should look at it not just as like, hey, it's going to be one of those features on Metis. It feels like they see it as the feature to bring other features, but also just to build and add on to. So I think that presentation was good. It was a little hint to that collaboration. Things are going really well so far. It's a new relationship. We're doing everything we can to cultivate it. But we feel kind of from all sides that they are all in every sense of the word to make PvP a great experience, not only for all the players on Metis, but it's going to enhance everything on Avalanche, Klaytn, and everything else. Because it's all so interconnected and not really cannibalize any of the existing gameplay or features.
Exactly. And I'll just add briefly, they have been setting us up, I mean, pretty much from day one, but setting us up with the teams that are already building or are built on Metis to really be successful. And every time I walk into, or we walk into one of those meetings, the team that we're meeting with is already fully briefed. They know who we are. They know the vision. They've been given ideas and direction, or just even support from Metis. They're as bullish as Metis is walking into these collaborations. So those conversations are happening. There's some, I think, some really amazing announcements coming in the next couple of weeks that I think the community's gonna be really excited about. And yeah, again, they just continue to show up for us. I mean, even just like on a day's notice, flying out to be a part of a panel with us at this event. So very cool.
Yeah, I'll just emphasize the coolness that's coming, but it's not like PvP is going live in a couple weeks. It's not what it is. Don't say when PvP going live, but it is like paving the way for our players to be there. So really trying to think a couple steps ahead to take advantage of all the cool things they have there and hopefully be front and center. So stay tuned. We're cooking up some really cool things, and we have multiple groups that are really just supporting the entire brand of DeFi Kingdoms, and it feels really good to have that.
Fully agree. I believe also, Sunbear, you have a virtual presence coming up somewhere shortly.
Oh yes. So tomorrow evening, I will be joining Sergeant Filthy McNasty on Bogside Chats, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about Metis and other partnerships and things like that. So come join us. Come have some fun with us.
Yeah, shout out to Bogside Chats, where Hubert also was, 2 nights ago, Hubert?
Let's see. I think it was Bogside. I thought Sergeant Filthy McNasty was. Am I getting my streams confused? I thought that was what Matty Pesk.
Bogside is Matty Pesk and Franz and Guy Kid. I just assumed Sarge was also joining them, but I might be wrong about that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I was there. I was like, wait. Yep, I was there. And it was a really great conversation. Recommend that anyone that's interested go take a look. We talked about a lot of different things with the game and our path forward and a whole bunch of different stuff. So I thought it was a great conversation, and definitely go check it out if you're interested.
It sounds like Sunbear might be joining a Gander with Sarge and maybe the Bogside.
Gander. Sorry about that. I got excited.
I know, right? It's understandable, especially when Sarge is involved. So yeah, check out Maddie Franz, and actually Guy Kid wasn't with them this week, but check out Maddie and Franz with Hubert from Tuesday night, and then tomorrow check out Sarge and Sunbear. And both of them, like the one with Hubert, I can already tell you was great because I've watched it, and I am always confident that the one with Sunbear will be as well. All right. One last update, and then we will roll into some questions. But Beetle Dude, what you been working on?
Hey, I made Bolon tee me up so I could do my victory lap for a couple minutes. I think it's just been a little bit since I've been up here. Been out a few of the weeks before, so just wanted to get people hyped up because I have been working on brand new classes, getting those built out in the combat engine. So we're making really good progress on a couple of those, and getting pretty close to one being in testing. So I guess just to get the hype flowing, because I don't get enough hype in my day-to-day life. So here you go. We are going to be pushing forward on that, and then shifting gears hopefully to some PvP stuff. So that's it. I'm trying really hard not to say what they are. Don't make me do it. Bolon, stop me.
I've been
Oh,
hovering the
quit.
mute button
Quit.
the whole time.
Stop me. I want to say it. No.
We will not be telling you what the next class is today, but stay tuned. You might get some information soon. But yeah, very excited for the first of those to be approaching the testing phase. That's a big step and a lot of fun, and then it'll be in all of your hands. So cannot wait for that. And kudos to Beetle Dude, who has just been rocking and rolling on that class that shall not be named. All right, moving into some questions. Oddly, there's a couple questions that relate to me, which I'm not used to. I normally just do the hosting, but I'm going to answer a couple this time too. So the first question is asking about the idea of a starter pack for non-crypto users, or even just to make it a little easier for different users to get into the game, where they could pick up a little bit of Jewel and Crystal, maybe a couple heroes, that kind of thing. And the short answer there is that it is something that we have been giving some thought to, something that we've been talking to a couple partners about. It's not necessarily as easy as it may sound, especially when you factor in needing to protect against bot spam. But it's definitely something that we've been giving thought to, and that we have some ideas around, and we'll continue to explore in the near term and long term future as other things develop as well. Dreamer has both unlocked YouTube chat mode, but also reminded me that there was an update that he wanted to give that I missed. So apologies. We're going to pause on questions after that one and circle back to Dreamer for an update real quick.
Bolon's so kind. I never even brought it up until chat right now. A reminder, I'm just being disruptive, and I was on a space before this. I'm sorry. Well, yesterday we're on a space with Doug Hype and did a little teaser. So what I want to talk about is, for any that missed that, visages have been really exciting for many of us. Tradable cosmetics make it fun, especially as we lead into PvP. I'm so excited about that. We also have a lot of people out there with their own IP and brands that we are open to collaborating with, and through creator visages, bring them into the game. So the first one will likely be hitting in the next week or two. I think we're aiming for next week, but we're working on that. And it will be the Doug Hype Visi with the most Rizzy of all the visages to come out. It's pretty exciting, because he will then take that and, through like a co-marketing period, be incentivized to talk about DFK. It benefits him, it's his IP, it's fun for us. We're going to be doing this on a much larger scale. For all of you in the audience that are influencers within the DFK community, you're going to be included in this too in some way. We're working out those details, but we're trying to see how can we be lifting up those within the community, as well as creators out there in Web3, maybe not as focused on DeFi Kingdoms, so that we can both attract new players and get some marketing through mutually beneficial agreement, but also, kind of pay tribute, so to speak, to our hardcore players that are influencing and bringing in a lot of those folks. Or at least, if the outside influencers bring in new people, our inside influencers are going to build up players. So excited about the creator visage lineup. More details to come on that. We are learning as we go and taking this step by step. But the intent is, over time, to lift up as many creators, and they're celebrating their personalities and content in the game where appropriate as possible.
Yes, thank you for that. That is super exciting. I think you're all familiar with Doug Hype, and if you're not, then I don't know where you've been. So looking forward to that. More details to come. And as Dreamer said, for those of you that are creating content in the community, we want this to include all of you as well at some point in some fashion. So stay tuned. We're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. All right, rolling back into some questions. The general question is around the idea of a pink beanie Visi for dog whiff hat, the meme coin, if any of you are not familiar with it. I will just say that in general, we are open to collaborating with pretty much anybody. So if anybody in that community, or if they have a team, honestly, I don't know too much about it, but if they have a team, have them reach out, or if somebody in their community wants to head up that co-marketing collaboration, we're definitely open to it. But we also aren't just going to take their IP. So we need to be a little more collaborative. But yeah, it's a great idea, and we're always down. Also want to give a shout out to Action, who I think might only be on Twitter right now, but Action, you're welcome to join the YouTube chat also. That's where it's popping off at the moment. But hey, buddy, good to see you. He was also at TWC. We got to hang out in person for a little bit. All right. Moving into some different questions. Going to throw the first one at Magnus. Thoughts on, and I think it's something that we've talked about before, but it's been a little bit, but thoughts on being able to actively utilize heroes that are listed for sale.
Yep, sure thing. So we escrow heroes in the hero sale contract at the time of listing, so that the sale can be safely executed on chain whenever they get purchased. The hero sale, for this reason, needs to have complete control over the hero, and any other on-chain links need to be cleaned up prior to the sale happening. This includes things like pets or equipment that need to be unequipped when they're listed, any quests that are happening or anything like that. And an alternative to this could be worked out using the ERC 721 approval system, but there is a flaw there, and this is because the approval could be revoked at any time the hero would be listed. So this would lead to a less than optimal user experience where a player tries to purchase a hero and then the transaction reverts because that approval has been revoked. Could lead to griefing or something like that, or just sales that you think are there and they're actually not. So the most reliable way to ensure that there isn't a degraded purchasing experience for anybody who is just scanning the market and wants to buy a hero is to do that escrow process on the hero sale contract, and just make sure the hero is in a good state to be purchased at any given time, because you might list it and then 3 weeks later it actually ends up being purchased, and if it's on a quest, it would really make things less than stellar for the person receiving the hero once they've purchased it. So yeah, hopefully that explains things.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And, as you mentioned, heroes questing, like when you go to purchase a hero right now, it shows you how much stamina they have. But if that hero is actively questing, that doesn't necessarily work the same way. And even more so, and probably even more problematically with summons. If you're trying to buy a Gen 1 10 out of 10, but that hero can be listed on the marketplace and summoning at the same time, like that could lead to some trouble. Awesome. One thing I did want to note real quick, sorry, off topic, but Pinecone, I know it's later for you. If you do need to drop, please feel free. You're happy to stay, or we're happy to have you, and you're welcome to stay. But I also don't want to keep you up all night. So entirely up to you.
These daylight savings times changes makes it easier for me because it's only 7:30. So
Okay,
problem.
perfect. In that case, good. Stay here and hang out with us. I'm happy about it. Let's see. Question for Hubert. Will luck affect the outcome of all crafted items, or only the ones that it is specifically involved in, like goldsmith and alchemy?
Yeah, good question. I will just say, we are not that close on having crafting out, so things are very subject to change. But I do like the idea of luck kind of always playing a role in, getting lucky, like having that, being tied together is something that we've done with a lot of other features in the game. So I'd say there's a decent likelihood of that, but we really aren't focusing on the crafting system at the moment. So it's hard to say for sure exactly how everything's going to work.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Kicking over to Sunbear and then Dreamer for any other thoughts as well. With the Klaytn merge confirmed, have we been approached to know exactly what it means for DFK? or any other thoughts that we can share so far?
You know, this is a really big change for them. This is something that's actually going to take quite a bit of time. And so, yeah, we have been in communication with them. We have meetings set to really kind of figure out what that does mean for us. And we don't have anything to share at this point, but we're going to stay on top of it. And as soon as we do, we will, of course, share that with you. So yes, communication is there, and we will get there. Just might take a little bit. Dreamer.
Yeah, I mean, when the vote was up, they had communicated to us that even when it's done, this isn't going to be a short-term thing. I don't remember the exact timeline they estimated there, but it wasn't measured in weeks. It was very long. So we have been kind of bugging them, but also trying to respect that they have to figure out how to merge two teams and two communities and figure out if they are forking or a whole new chain or new token. Like, they got a lot to figure out. If I was in their shoes, I would probably not want to be joining meetings and answering questions I don't know the answers to either. But Sunbird's done a great job to stay on them, and we are talking to them, I think, next week. So even if they don't have all the answers in the world, it'll be really good to get an update. Now, depending on what they choose, it's going to impact us. Some of the routes they could go might require us to completely redeploy everything, which would be very disruptive. So we're going to try to be mindful of our needs and communicate them in this long planning process in hopes that they might keep us in mind in some of the major decisions. And it could be that as a result, not only the benefit of getting exposed to, the previously known as Finchia team and the connection to Line messaging system, but maybe even something in the tech that allows us to build a little bit more freely. Like the computation cost limit is one of those that we've been trying to get increased for a while. That was actually slotted to be increased and would have allowed us to do more over there. But when all of this happened, I think that got put on hold. So we're very eager to see how this change will either impact negatively or impact positively long-term DeFi Kingdoms on Klaytn.
Appreciate you, gentlemen, and yes, rest assured we will continue to bring updates as we have them and are applicable. A lot of things being figured out, a lot of moving pieces there. Jumping over to Hubert, curious to hear some commentary regarding the changes to the alchemist formulas, which would be the potion crafting cost changes that we made a couple weeks back.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think the thrust of the question was, I guess, maybe asking why, but yeah, I'll just say when we were first designing the potions, it was all kind of designed around the same, or like a approach of like how much time would it take for a group of heroes that each have one of the profession for each of the professions to be able to make a potion, and like how much time do we want to have be involved to just make one, and did things kind of on a like a per stamina scale like that, or stamina is kind of a time-based system. So at the time we had a much higher drop rate of Gaia's Tears, so that was kind of built in with that in mind. But after that point, the Gaia's Tears drop rate was reduced, but the potion formula was not changed at that time. So the kind of net result was that when it came time to finally getting to BYOP, we saw that like the majority of the cost of a potion was actually just in the Gaia's Tears cost, and then secondary to that was everything else. And I think my conclusion in that was that we already have a good amount of utility for Gaia's Tears, but for everything else that goes into a potion, this is the potion crafting is really where that's starting to get represented. People could use them to make lesser enhancement stones as well. So I mean, there was a little bit of utility there, but this is really turning that up. And also the other concern was just like the total cost of a potion was kind of a little bit higher than I thought was reasonable. So it's kind of those two factors put together led to the conclusion that we should adjust the formulas, bring down the Gaia's Tier cost, so it's not the majority of it, and just make it so it's easier, for people to make potions and do all that. And yeah, I guess I'll just plug that we also did talk about this a little bit as well in the Bogside chat stream that I was on a few days ago. So if you want to hear me say that in a different way, I'm not sure if I said more or less in that than here, but so kind of the same thing there. So yeah.
Thank you, good sir. Any thoughts? This is probably a Beetle Dude question, so I gotta give him a heads up. Beetle Dude, this is gonna be for you. Any thoughts on optimizing void hunts to not be as like PC resource heavy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for the heads up. I was deep in thought about new classes. But yeah, this is we're definitely have it on our radar. I think, in general, it should be a fairly light system. So there's probably a bit of slog happening with the passing of data. So definitely on our radar, something that we want to improve, especially as we start working towards PvP. Not something that we're working on currently, but trying to prioritize classes right now, and then we'll have performance as another piece that kind of goes along with PvP as that comes out. So that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Going back to Hubert for a second, quick plot twist question from chat. With the drop rate of tiers from hunts, how has that played out as far as what was anticipated with tier drop rates? Has that gone more or less as expected?
I haven't looked at that too closely, but with that said, I mean, there's only like between like lately it's been about 1,500 hunts done per day. So I think compared to like the number of heroes that are just doing profession quests regularly, the majority of Gaia's tiers I think is still coming from profession quests. So I didn't really expect it to be that big of an impact when we designed that to be one of the rewards. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't really had time to like look at that very closely. So if anyone does have any analysis they want to share, I'd be happy to look at it. But yeah, we're just really heads down on PvP and class stuff right now. So yeah.
Makes sense. Speaking of hunts and rewards, any thoughts on using raffle tickets as a reward for hunts?
Yeah, I'm not that keen on that idea, just because our raffle system was kind of intended to be for mini games and for like us to also allow third parties to have things like the ADFK game uses the raffle system. And so hunts to me are not a mini game; they are a vital part of the game. And so we have different reward systems for that. And there's more coming as far as reward systems for hunts. It's just something that we need time to design, and we're kind of being pulled in multiple directions right now with PvP too. So it may be a little bit longer for that to come out, but it is going to be something that's going to be backdated to everybody for all the hunts that you've completed up to the point when that releases. So it should be a pretty big splash, I think, when it's there, and it's going to be a bit more of an involved system that's not really a raffle system. So
thank you, sir. Jumping back to Beetle Dude for a second, actually, any thoughts on having the filters in the sidebar of the tavern or the hero viewer, really pretty much anywhere else, having those be collapsible?
Yeah, so we kind of had a brief discussion about this, where it might not make sense to default them to close, just because it would add an extra click for those who kind of know where they're going or what they want. But it does seem like it might be viable to have them, default to open, and then people can close them as they go down. So I don't see it as a bad idea. It might be something that we want to discuss, just the exact implementation we want to go for. And yeah, just add it to add to the list, you know.
There it is. We can wrap up the AMA now. He said add it to the list.
Oh, dang it.
It's a requirement for everyone.
Shoot.
When you're not here, we add more stuff to your list to comfort ourselves,
I
though.
knew it. I knew it.
Bouncing back to Hubert, because apparently we're going to ping pong between Beetle and Hubert this AMA. I like it. It gives Hubert more of a break than he normally gets. But going back to you, we've mentioned that we have an additional burn mechanic already planned, and some level of design going into that. Without necessarily being able to go into details on what it is, curious on thoughts of how we feel like it will impact hero population growth, and if what we kind of see as the intended impact of it.
Sure, yeah. I guess real quick before I answer, just don't let me forget that I have a follow-up on that last question that should get to after I answer this one. But yeah, so the new system, I think it's going to be a pretty huge impact to the game overall. It touches a lot of different things, and I hope that we can start talking about it more openly soon. There's still a little bit more to go there, and also just planning when we're going to actually implement it. But I can see it contributing to additional regular burn of heroes like the dark summoning does. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to be more or less, or if one's going to cannibalize the other a little bit. It's kind of hard to say. I think they can be, the way it's set up is they're kind of mutually beneficial, and they have their own specific benefits that are different from each other as well. So I don't necessarily think that it will cause cannibalization, but it really is hard to say without us actually just releasing it and seeing how everyone uses it. So I'll say that I still think that just with the rate at which heroes can be summoned right now with the cooldown timers, that's still going to be something that I think will be a concern. I'm still concerned about it, and I think that's previously we did have a kind of a vote about potentially changing things like cooldown timers or things around summoning. I think I'd like to propose having another discussion about that, but if we don't do that, I think it's going to certainly help. But I think it would help even more if we did make some adjustments to the summoning system as well. And yeah, before I let it go back to Bolan, I did just want to mention, because Zip got my back and let me know about how much we're getting as far as tiers per day from questing and hunts. And hunts have contributed about 10 to 11,000 tiers per day being added to the ecosystem, whereas profession quests do about 230,000 per day. So I mean, it's not even a 10% addition to the amount that is being produced. So I really don't think that the impact was that high from us adding that. So anyway, there's my now with informed numbers analysis of that. So.
Thank you. And I'll just note also on the burn mechanic side, we have talked a little bit about that. Hubert also talked a little bit about it, not details, on the bog side stream. So again, if you want to hear some additional thoughts there, check that out. But that may be one that we do actually talk a little bit more about prior to it being ready. So stay tuned for details there, and just know going in that may be something that we talk a little bit about prior to its release time. Let's see. Continuing the ping pong game, we're going back to Beetle Dude.
Oh, snap.
I know. I love it. I don't think this could have been done if it was on purpose. Thoughts on having the player's username during a hunt in the space between the flee button and the hunt ID, so that if a player were to be live streaming or showing off their replay for any purposes that may start with the letter E, it would have their username on it.
Yeah, I mean that's a great suggestion. There are a lot of things that I'd like to improve about the replay system. I was kind of happy to be able to get that in place before Boars went live. It's turned out to be an awesome system that people are using, but it hasn't been touched too much since then. And I think there's a ton that we can do to improve it, especially with PvP coming out. There's going to be a lot of additional items we can add. Particularly, I'd like to give Bolon his pause button that he's been wanting for years and years. At this point, feels like years. It's only been a couple months. That's crazy. But yeah, pause buttons, ability maybe to even scrub through turns. And so yeah, even I think adding a name is low lift, but I'd also like to just improve the replay system in general. So it's definitely. I don't want to say it. It's in and around the list. It's on the list. I can't lie. It's on the list. It's already on the list.
It's in the vicinity of the room in which you keep the list.
It's in the same
List
room.
adjacent.
Yes, list adjacent. No, it's on the list. So I think in general, we're just going to improve that whole system in conjunction with PvP and hopefully leading up to PvP as well. We're just going to keep improving the combat system in general. So that's it.
Beautiful. Let's see. This one could be Beetle or Hubert, so we'll see who wants to take it. First off, to start out, a little credit to Fox as well. Loving the new multi-quest queue feature. With that and with expeditions coming, curious about, would it be possible to have a summary of all loot gathered after completing quests, so that if you complete a lengthy series of quests, it condenses some of that information?
Yeah.
I'll answer it. Oh, Fox is going. What?
I mean, I'll just say that I've had this same exact thought multiple times. Over to you, Hubert.
Wait, maybe I was also not paying attention because I thought this question was about expeditions. Is this not about expeditions?
Expeditions / multi-queue, a little bit of both.
Okay. All right. Well, Fox, sorry to cut you off. I was just thinking about the expedition side of this, and feel free to jump back in. Yeah, I think for expeditions, at least, I think it's going to be very possible that someone, doesn't check in on their hero for weeks potentially. So we are planning on, at least like for a specific expedition, having it all just be, the final results of that entire amount of processing just showing for that one expedition. But you could have a whole bunch of different expeditions going at once, and I think if we tried to load all of that onto like a single modal, it would be pretty intensive processing wise, and also probably kind of difficult to parse as well. So I'm not necessarily that keen on the idea of just doing a huge overview, especially for expeditions. But yeah, it sounds like Fox is of a different opinion, so I don't know if you want to add more.
Well, I was just kind of thinking of it within the context of the multi-quest thing, because like at that point we have all of the events from the quests that were just recently completed, and we have all of the reward items, events, and we show them. You just have to page through it. It would be cool to have sort of a summary page as like the first page, where it's like here's everything, and then if you want to go into it, you can. And it probably wouldn't be too complex to code, honestly. So maybe something for, I don't know, somebody who wants a little fun side project. I'm hesitant to take it on because I really got to get duels out the door. But we've seen all kinds of really cool things come out from like Mr. Zipper and like KP over here, who is heavily involved with a lot of the really cool quality of life things recently. So who knows? Sorry to volunteer some people.
As an add-on to that question specifically about multi-queuing quests, is it possible to have it work across devices?
Yeah, this is something that we've been talking a little bit about as well. So right now it uses local storage in the browser, and that's really nice because you have a little bit more space to work with, and there isn't any latency to it and things like that. It's a lot more simple to build something like that as opposed to a server storage approach. But we do use some technology to sort of like track things on servers as well on a per account basis, and eventually it would be cool to get some of those things put into places like that. But it is definitely a lot more involved, and it's also something that's not super high on the priority list right now, because the same people that would probably do that are the same people that are building the classes and the combat stuff and the PvP stuff. So yeah, it's hard.
And expeditions.
Yeah. So anything anyone wants to add on that? But that's my thoughts about it.
I'll take that as a no additions. Appreciate you, Fox. We are going to grab a couple more questions, and then we do have a guest joining us to talk about a little something, and he'll be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, a couple more questions. Going back to Hubert, any thoughts on changing Hardened Shield to all damage types to make it that much better than Iron Skin?
Now I need to go look at this skill because I was not teed for this question.
Yeah, sorry.
You want me to just come in here swinging?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Sure.
While I go check that skill and make sure I know what we're talking about.
My answer is sure.
Oh, okay.
Hubert, I'll commit you to it.
Wait, don't do that. Wait, which skill are we talking about?
Hardened Shield.
Hardened Shield and Iron Skin.
Are these even? What skills are we? This is not a night skill, right? This is somewhere else. I'm not.
No, these are genetics.
Oh, those. Oh, yeah. We're talking traits. Okay.
Sorry, I prepped you very badly for this.
Yeah, you did.
I take ownership.
Yeah. I'm not prepared for this. If we want to like circle back and give me a second, I can get more prepared for this question.
Right, that'll work. Sorry, it got lost in there's a lot of conversation happening in the AMA questions channel, so I was trying to filter questions, and I definitely missed it the first time and then caught it this time, so I figured I'd throw it out there. Let's see. This is one I think that you'll probably be able to answer easier, and it may be for you or Workhorse may have thoughts, but will pets be able to carry equipment or potions that can be used in combat?
Let's see. Could you ask that again? I am now up to date on the skills, but I was not listening to you.
It's all good. Will pets be able to carry equipment or potions that can be used in combat?
No, probably not. I mean, I think that just adds a lot more complexity than what we already have. That's quite complex. So that would be a pretty huge effort to do, and I don't really think it would. Yeah, I mean, we could have a bonus that maybe affects battle budget perhaps. I'm not sure if we actually did put one like that in there, but that's something that could be possible, and that is like technically giving you extra potion space. But I don't see us ever doing anything that would like let you have different weapons held by pets. That would be pretty involved. So
nice. Yeah, that makes sense. So thoughts on Hardened Shield versus Iron Skin?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we actually have anything that does for magic damage, so that's a good call out. You know, and maybe the solution, if we change it at all, would be to just have them both be that way. But I can see the point of, you know, having Hardened Shield be maybe affect any damage rather than just physical. But yeah, I kind of see now that we kind of have a bit of an imbalance here between the two types. So we'll take a look at that.
Very nice, very nice. All right, one last question, and then we will bring up our guest, who's actually the one that posted the question about Hardened Shield and Iron Skin. So good day for him to join after a little side recognition there. Thoughts on extending dark summoning level ups by using other items, such as dumping extra runes in to unlock additional levels?
Yeah, I'm not too keen on that idea. I think in general, I think the process of leveling up heroes is important to like getting experience, and that it's probably the most ubiquitous trope of RPGs is having experience and having to go through the effort of improving your character that way. So I having skips of that process is something that I take very seriously, and it has to be something that would be like very like the way dark summoning works, you're burning 2 heroes for that. Doing something else, yeah, I probably won't happen. I mean, I don't think I'd be in favor of that, something like that, but it's always possible that we do something in the future.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, sir. All right. So I'm going to bring our guest onto stage here. I don't remember if our limit is 10 or 12, so it may boot somebody off, but we're going to see what happens. It is 10, but it actually won't boot somebody off. Anybody okay with hopping backstage for a moment while we bring our guest up?
You can ship me back.
All right. Thank you, Workhorse. We
Thanks all.
appreciate you. All right. Hello, Dags.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you, sir?
Good, good. I assume you brought me on to talk about the awesome raffle that we see from the Void Hunts now, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, really, I brought you on to talk about whatever you want, but that would be
Oh,
the topic, yeah.
sweet. So I can talk about how like Dreamer kicked ass on Twitter and just really went to bat for our subnet because that was awesome. I could talk about Pink Slip Duels. I could talk about Jeweler's Joust. I don't know, Fox. We're excited for you to get done with the duels and get those coming forth. And we hope to see you a little bit at the tournament, maybe if you have time. When is that? I think it's the 24th, unless duels are delayed. So we'll be flexible as long as they're good. And then finally, we have Mokshas. PvP is right around the corner. So the jewelers, that's with the master jewelers there, that's Trade Room and myself, we decided to put $10 per day for 10 Mokshas per day for 5 days. We want to see as many people get their heroes up to that sweet level 20 mark, so we can all be competitive in PvP with our favorite heroes. And Bolin, I just want to say thanks for how you worked with us to get that done. We were thinking about waiting until the Klaytn raffles were done, but we didn't want to wait. We just were like, forget it, and let's push these through. So, I don't know. That was kind of a whirlwind, but hopefully we got our tournament on the 24th. Jeweler's Joust coming out whenever duels hit, which will just be a kind of a triple wheel of random requirements to enter your heroes, like level restrictions, class restrictions, and rarity restrictions. And we're just trying to build engagement with the community, because I found out on YouTube they won't add DFK as a game until there's like a certain level of engagement from everybody. So get out there, if you want to make content, reach out to us at the Jewelers. We'll help you. We can help you make videos, help you get going. We'll show your channel. Like we got Light, who's recently come back. We got Emerson, who's starting a channel. We need content on there so that when I select a game category in YouTube, I can actually select DFK instead of hitting none. That would feel great.
That would feel great, and I fully support that as well. Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, we have a lot of really great content creators. Jewelers definitely prominently among them. We talked about Gander and Bogside earlier. There's ADFK. There's Mythic Squad. There's Styx Intern. I know I'm forgetting others. I love you all. It's not on purpose. But one of the most impressive things has been that, like, I've watched it happen where other community members said, hey, I'm thinking about starting to stream, and all of them are more than happy to help you get going, help you get running, give you tips and tricks, bring you on their podcast to promote yourself. It's a really phenomenal network of people who support each other, which is always beautiful to watch. But yeah, so the Jewelers Guild, as Dags mentioned, is sponsoring 10 mochas per day to one winner in the sponsored hunt raffles. So if you go in there, you will now see both the Klaytn one and the Jewelers one, which means we currently have five winners per day of hunts raffles between the Crystal Jackpot, the Klaytn sponsorship, and now the Jewelers sponsorship. Super exciting, super cool to see, multiple prize pools in there. We do have a couple others lined up to get rolling here shortly as well. So we're going to keep seeing more introduced there. But just a huge shout out for giving back to the community and sponsoring that. That's absolutely incredible. And I mean, 10 mochas, I think anybody could use 10 mochas these days.
Yeah, I mean, and if not, I'm lined up to win that thing. So I have no shame. I will win my own raffles. And then I'm just kind of waiting, excited for like a honk raffle. So that'll be cool.
There you go. Yes, I hope you do win it. As who was it the other day on Wowie's mega stream? I think it was Beaver that said, if RNG wants me to have it, then who am I to argue?
There's always a France keeps it option. So
yes.
on all the box side.
Love it.
I just want to hop in and give you some props as well. The vision of what we can do on blockchain, different from others where players kind of have somewhat of a stake and ownership and participation, is just like we're just peeking into it, right? We talked about hosted tournaments. What we're doing with sponsored hunts is going to kind of inform us how this works. Community members coming in and playing groups coming in and saying, hey, we want to have a little mention in the load up screen for some like advertisement or for fun or whatever, and reward players next to the native rewards and next to the sponsored rewards. It allows the game to be fun. It allows all of us to contribute in different ways. And just shout out to Zipper and Bolon, who have really been supporting that, as well as game committee, loving the idea. So more to come here. Dags, thanks for, you and your group for stepping up and being like, hey, we want to be the first to do this. Hopefully others do as well. We're trying to make it reasonable and possible for everybody. We also got some juicy ones lined up. One obvious one I don't think we've announced, but there will be more karate coming through. That's in the works. And we'll see some karate drops. So all those that got the Visage that already have the app and everything that want to add to your karate to vote for upcoming events, I think that's one that we can talk about is in queue. If people see other things in the space, WIF was mentioned. If there's a connection or you're in that community and you want to help us advertise and be like, hey, do you want to advertise to the DFK player community? Do you want to sponsor a hunt? If people say yes to you and you want to connect them to Sunbear, Bolon, and others, feel free to help us. I think Hubert designed this thing to have 5 running at once. We don't always have to have 5, and maybe sometimes we won't have any addition outside of the DFK one, but definitely a team effort. We're starting to see the vision of how we can scale this and include many other communities, even if they aren't a game or aren't on our chain. And yeah, more to come on how we'll accomplish that in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Dreamer.
If I can jump in real quick on that, just to follow up with what Dreamer said, we actually could do more than 5 at once. It's just we have concerns about gas, but I think we could probably go higher and it'd be fine. So if you see that there's 5 and it's like, oh, we probably shouldn't mention this because there's already 5 there, don't let that stop you, is all I want to say. So yep.
Yeah, for sure. Keep them coming because we can also, always line them up, right? So definitely if you have something that you'd be interested in, bring it to us. Aside from that, I will say, A, as always, don't ape into broken mechanics, but B, please do, if you are tuned in, like, share, subscribe, and really help us boost those numbers up, which is awesome and super helpful for us. So please click that thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. If you're listening on X, please give us a follow as well. But greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate any sharing of it. As always, appreciate all of you, everybody up here who's taking the time to answer these questions, everybody in the audience, and that will be watching this video later, who submits questions and tunes in to hear us answer them. If you have questions for us, please drop them on talk.defykingdoms.com. Or in the AMA questions channel in Discord, so that it is queued up for us to snag them and answer them. And aside from that, any last comments from anybody before we have Dags give us a bullish?
Just super excited to hear all those things from Dags. Like, that's really awesome, all the things being done over there. Huge shout out to him and all the jewelers and the whole community at large. Like, you guys are what makes this fun. So thank you so much. We're excited to be building things for you guys.
I'll just add, the comment of Twitter. I just wanted to give some background since we didn't touch on it today. Part of what I feel is my job is to stand up for our builders and our community. Sometimes behind the scenes, I tend to do that more than people realize. But with some groups, they got a lot going on, and Avalanche is doing so much. And there was a post that I felt like it was unwarranted to be left out of, and then the logic behind it just showed a broader problem that maybe more publicly than we would like, we kind of brought to attention. I just wanted to say thank you for all those that supported, but two, give transparency. Have had multiple follow-up discussions with the head of gaming, with the team there, and joined a space right before this with Avalanche Gaming. We're always trying to do better. We're always trying to find things to improve. And we are very stoked to be on Avalanche and Avalanche Gaming co-marketing efforts. I think from this point forward, we've seen a lot of improvements in the last year, and I think we're going to see a lot more. It really helped kind of align a bit further. So the more we do out there that's healthy and respectful, but maybe sometimes factually identifying inaccuracies, it's necessary. And as we do it together in a respectful manner to cultivate understanding and community, like I feel like we accomplished as a group there, we all win. So for any that didn't understand that comment, I wasn't just going around trying to bash people. I'm not a basher, but I do greatly appreciate you all. And I kind of feel a responsibility when we're either misrepresented or misunderstood to find the most tactical way to stand up for us. And sometimes it can be, in a less finesse-filled fashion. So I think we did good here as a group, and wanted to follow up that Avalanche Gaming relationship is strong, and we're going to just see it get stronger the more of these conversations, spaces, posts, and other things we get out there.
For sure. Much love to everybody for the support. Real quick, because I see some people talking about it in chat. Hubert, the sponsored raffle system, can it support NFTs?
No, and I really don't want to spend the time to make it allow that to work. But yeah,
ERC20s, folks.
Yes, the 20. Yes, please.
ERC20s.
And it doesn't have to be a token that exists on DFK Chain either. That's a good thing to note.
Yes.
So we have added support to allow us to do like manual airdrops or potentially work out other things. So just don't feel like there are limits as far as tokens go. Besides just no NFTs, please.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all. Dags, take it away.
Actually, I forgot some things. One, whoever put the logo up there, it looked beautiful. Thank you so much. We wanted to be first. It looks great as first because someone dear to me once said, if you're not first, you're last. So we're first. Also, the pink slips, I think that's through Emerson. I think there's one more spot. So reach out to Emerson if you want in. Also, ape into Broken Mechanics. And then when they change them, just ape into the next one. Not financial advice.
Bullish.
Bullish.
We will see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.